Hello, Ray. Welcome to
Hello.
to this interview for Centro de Poder. I am so honored and so happy to have you with us. So let me introduce you to our
Thank you.
audience. Ray Kurshals is a high performance athlete, hyperkinetic as well. He was born in New York. He was raised in Hawaii, and he was a principal dancer to Twyla Tharp company, Paul Taylor. You were also, I think, at Martha Graham's, I don't know, school or company.
Merce Cunningham.
Mer-
Yes, Merce
Mer- Merce
Cunningham.
Cunningham company. And I met you years ago in a teacher training of Pilates, and I would like you to share with us a little bit about first, how did you encounter Pilates, and how
hmm
did it help you? Like, I don't know, you arrived to Pilates because of an injury or because you wanted to go to another level of
No.
performance, or an
Yeah.
accident, or how it happened, how you met the method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as most stories for start, it was a woman.
Awesome.
I had a girl. I had a girlfriend, and I moved to New York City in 1973 to New York City, and I was dating a girl. So I had a girlfriend who was doing Pilates. She was a dancer. I was a dancer, and she took me to class, and as soon as I did my first class, it was fantastic.
Love at
I loved
first
it. So,
sight.
love at first movement.
At
Yes,
first move. Yeah, and
movement. First movement.
it was a math class or an apparatus class.
It was a mat class, but it was a movement mat class, and it was with Bruce King. Bruce King was one of the elders, yeah,
Yes.
and he did danced also with Merce Cunningham. And I was taking ballet, and so he was working with the company, ballet companies too. So that was my first class, and then I was with Bruce off and on for years. And I knew this is what I wanted to do, and it built strength, incredible strength and power, but it didn't build big muscles, because as you know, dancers, we can't have big muscles, but we have to have lots of power and strength. So after Bruce, then I started studying with Romana, and I was with Romana for years and years,
Romana
and was with
herself.
Bruce and Romana. Yeah, Romana herself, yeah.
Yeah.
When I started in 1973, I think this is true, but there were 6 studios in the whole world, just 6. There was one in here. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico now, is where I live. There was one here in Santa Fe with Eve Gentry. There was one in England with Alan Hertman. There was one in Los Angeles with Ron Fletcher. And there were 3 in New York City. And that was it. And now
That was it.
Pilates is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Tens of
Exploded.
thousands of studios everywhere, of course. So then I was with Romana, and I also started studying. I started getting into the dance companies. So then I was traveling a lot, and I went with Carola and worked
Carola.
with her for a little. Carola, yes, and worked with her for a while, and then Romana found out I was one of the teachers told Romana I was with Carola, because they were a little jealous, and so Romana got upset, and Romana said, "Don't come back for a while." So I didn't come back for a while, and then I was traveling more, and then I went back to Romana, and I also was started with Kathy Grant. So I left Carola and was working with Kathy Grant for years, and so it was Romana and Kathy, and I was still dancing with the companies, of course. I stopped dancing for a while, and I became an actor on Broadway and acting. And when I was doing, I danced with the 3 big companies. And my story is, I danced for 15 years with the 3 big companies, Twyla, Merce, and Paul. And I was 1 year as an actor, and I made more money in 1 year as an actor than all the dance. So don't dance, do acting, more money. But then I left New York City. I decided to stop dancing. I left New York City. I moved to Boulder, Colorado, teaching at the university, and then also started doing more Pilates again. I started teaching again, and then came down here to Santa Fe in 1982. Let's see, 1990. 94. And the Institute for the Pilates Method was here, 93, and there was the Institute for Pilates was here, and Sean Gallagher was starting his institute in New York. So there were the two institutes, and I was the senior vice president for education. I was their media director because I had done film and video. I had a film and video production company in Denver, Colorado, and so I made if I'm not mistaken, I made the very first Pilates training videotapes for Pilates. So I made them, I filmed them, I directed, I was in them, and they're very simple. They're beautiful, but
practical.
They're very simple, not very practical, not complex like beautiful.
Straightforward.
The ones now are beautiful, just straightforward. And so I did that with them. We also invented a reformer I helped invent the reformer that folds in half. So it just could fold in half. And then I was with them for a couple of years, and I worked with Eve Gentry was here. So she was on the board of directors, and so I worked with Eve for 2 years. It was fantastic too. So of the 6 elders, I got a chance to work with 5 of them. I didn't work with Ron Fletcher. I became good friends with Ron because a friend of his, Ally McGraw, the actress, and I are good friends. So I met him a long time ago, 20 plus years ago, before he passed away, of course. And so that's pretty much, then I started my own studio in 95, 96, and I have been in Santa Fe teaching. I teach all over the world now. I helped start the founding member of the Pilates Method Alliance. The teaches Pilates from England, so it's fantastic. I travel all South America. I came to Mexico City, Europe, Italy, France, Germany, everywhere. And now I'm in Asia. For the last 4 years, I've been working with the Asian, Indonesia, Korea, and Japan. Did some work in Malaysia. And then I have some other businesses as well, there as well. And my studio has been 23 years here in Santa Fe. We have won the Best of Santa Fe, first place for the last 15 years.
In a row.
The contest has only been in a row. The contest has only been 15 years, so that means we're number 1. So, and I have great teachers. Fantastic. I have 9, 10 teachers usually, and sometimes I hire more. And great clientele, and it's beautiful. So that's my Pilates story.
You have been a pioneer for Pilates in many ways. So you have had direct experience with the elders. So what do you think about the Pilates that you received and the Pilates that you see nowadays? What are like the pros of the contemporary Pilates versus classic? What do you think? It's good to add new things, or let's keep the method like a museum thing, like holy, don't touch it, distortion? What's your view on that?
Well, thank you. That's a wonderful question. I think that Joe Pilates taught many people, dozens and dozens of teachers. Only a few of them had schools underneath them. Each of the elders that I got to work with and have seen contributed something to the work. So Joe Pilates taught each teacher as an individual. Like he always said in his writings, teach to the body in front of you. So I think it's essential that everybody read the 2 essays that he wrote, because that's the closest they're going to get to talking.
Yes.
Have to read it, have to read it.
Yeah.
And then you can understand him. But he taught each individual elder teacher a specific way and a specific thing. So they then also went on to contribute and teach what they learned and had and added to it. Then the second generation, my generation, also came from different backgrounds. My background was as an athlete. I've been an Olympic coach. I was a dancer. So I came from that world as well, and brought to the work that I needed. For me specifically, I think it's wide open. I mean, Pilates can work with, I've worked with people, veterans, U.S. veteran, Army veterans, who had no legs. Army veterans have no arms. I've had people with cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, Down syndrome. Pilates can work with anybody at all. At the low end, rehabilitation training, and it can work, like I said, with the high-end people. I've worked with military, with police, military, with super athletes. I've worked for the American Football League, Hockey League, equestrians. I work with horse people, top athletes. So the spectrum of Pilates is huge, and everybody now is contributing to it more and more. So now, instead of just a few hundred teachers, like in 1973, we have thousands of teachers. And some people know more, some people know less. Because of the proliferation of studies and techniques and things like that, there's going to be a slight dilution, a dilutedness to some of the techniques.
Watered down.
Now, that's not so good, right? So if you keep the philosophy intact,
yes.
that's what's important. You cannot you can't keep the exercises can change, but you can't change the philosophy. If the philosophy stays intact, then you'll be fine. It doesn't matter if you're doing new skills or something like that. Okay, because you have some fantastic new kids, young teachers who are coming forward and creating new exercises for the needs that they have for their clientele. That's okay. If it's safe, if the philosophy is intact, if it's safe, and it really works, there's nothing wrong with it. Then you have another school which says it just has to be a certain way. Well, there really was no certain way. Romana, who claimed that it's the classical style, and I love her and I respect her, also changed exercises. So everybody changed exercises. She's the closest maybe to how he taught in some ways, but he just taught her that way.
Yes.
He didn't teach other people. I've had maybe 60 people I've taught in all the times I've taught that studied with Joe himself. They study with Joe and they tell me stories, and I have dinner with them and I talk with them for hours and hours and hours to find out how he taught, what did he teach. And some stories are kind of embarrassing, some stories are very profound and deep, but it's crazy. Someone should write a book on that.
Yes, Ray, please write a book on that.
I'm too young. I can't sit down. I can't sit down to write. I'm too young. I have too much to do.
Well, you can record it and have someone transcribe it.
Okay, we'll see. So I tend to be in the middle of the road. I respect the classical style, so to speak, and I also respect the contemporary style. My issue is, and what I'd like to do, and I talk to the PMA, I talk to teachers, Pilates Teachers Alliance in England. I would like to say we just name the technique and style after the person. This is Romana's style. This is Ron Fletcher's style. Yes. This is, Eve Gentry style. This is Carola style. This is, Bruce King's style. This is Kathy's style. That's would be the best, because then it's not like one's better than the other. Real Pilates, super real Pilates, excellent super real Pilates. I mean, it's like becomes marketing and it's silly. Pilates is Pilates,
Pilates is Pilates, and we all receive this lineage, this line of knowledge. That is, it has like the gift of what is added by the teacher that give it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. For instance, in my career, I did Pilates since I was 73. I was very young. Then I became the dancer, and I trained and I did the dancing. Then I studied chiropractic work. I studied osteopathic. I studied applied kinesiology. I studied medicine, because I wanted to include more and more and more with the Pilates, not instead of the Pilates, but I wanted to get people moving correctly from a neurological point of view, because if the neurology is working, then the physiology can work. If the nerves don't move the body, we have problems. So, and then you have your psycho-emotional as well. How many people are have incredible needs to break through their physiological problems that are just psychological. So, we're not just an exercise teacher. We work on so many different levels: psychology, the psychological body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, the physical body, the spiritual body, the quantum body. I mean, you can just extrapolate to the most extreme. And so teaching young teachers all this stuff takes a lot of time because you have to have some body of experience, but it's worth it ultimately. So when I travel, that's what I like to introduce. It's not just up, down, up, down, up, down, left, right, left, right, left. There's more to it because the spirit ultimately moves the body.
Yes.
And maybe that comes from my dance background.
Yeah, and it comes back to what you say of keeping the philosophy, the core of the method, that is body, mind, and spirit. And it's wonderful what you say, because often one believes that if I change my mind, my body will change, and or I am sad and then my body gets sad. But it also works the other way around. If you change your body, then the way you think and your perception of the world also changes. And it's very interesting for me to see that mind, well, nowadays I believe that the body is a mind and it's also the spirit, like many layers interlaced. So as a dancer, like how is your experience of working the emotions, the projection, the expression through the body? Like how you become a feeling body, and how you work with that?
Well, I'll get back. Yes, I'll get back to that in the sense that Joe said body, mind, spirit. Now, we all understand the body. The body moves and it feels, that can move. And the Pilates exercises enhance flexibility, strength, and awareness. We know that. Yes. Mind, well, the mind moves the body, he said. As we've learned, the body can also affect the mind, of course.
Yes.
So the mind is easy to understand but the mind also would include the emotions, which is what you're talking about now. So like you said, someone's sad, they contract. Someone feels good, they expand. If you're dealing with the fields of the body, the auric fields, which go out further, they also contract and expand as well, just like circulation. So it's like a heartbeat as well. So then when you say spirit, Joe Pilates, when he said spirit to me, now I didn't meet him. He died 6 years before I started.
Yes.
But the elders I spoke with, they said about that and he says it in his writings, spirit isn't about spirituality. It's not about religion. It's the spirit of the individual soul. So if I love to dance, that's my spirit expressing itself. If I love to do athletics, that's my spirit. If I love to be a father, that's just as valuable. Or a mother, or I love to go fishing. It doesn't matter. I love to paint. The spirit is the act of the self-realization and evolution of the person. It's spirit in action, and that is what nobody teaches.
Yes,
nobody teaches that I know. I mean, these teachers talked about it, so that's what I like to do. And when I tap into my clientele, whether they're young kids, I have children's classes. I work with Down syndrome kids, older people and geriatrics. We have a nursing home just across the street, so I go in there. That's what I want to capture, because if you can capture that little spark of divinity within the individual, then you nurture that and you make that grow. It doesn't matter if they can only go this far movement-wise. It doesn't matter that, someone else, I can work with an athlete, they can jump, fly, and whatever, a dancer. That's fantastic. I mean, we love that because, I love to see that. Yeah. But it's just as exciting to see, a geriatric just go that far. Or, someone who's, and you see their heart and their spirit and their light. And it's beautiful. So that's kind of what I like to think about, and how one individually self-evolves their own spirit itself in action. And Pilates is a fantastic tool because it is movement. Not that other forms of movement aren't great. When you infuse it with that, with that power. And so that's kind of what we do, what I teach, what I do.
Yeah, the spirit of our method. Oh, this is so wonderful.
Exactly.
I would like to ask you for 3 more hours, many more questions. But
no, I have to go eat dinner.
Yeah, after 12 hours of teaching on the road. So
that's good. I'll come to Mexico City. We'll go out and eat and talk for hours.
Yeah, and continue. Yeah, so
continue.
To wrap up this wonderful interview, I would like you to share us an exercise or an idea or an image to get a feel of this integration in our method of body, mind, and spirit. Like you just do the 100, which is abdominals. You breathe. You focus on the 100% of completion. Like, what would you share with us to get like the feel of this method?
Wow. Well, that's a great question. There's so many exercises that I personally love because of my body, and there's just there's thousands of exercises. Because of my background as a dancer, I like many times the bigger movement things like that. That's why I love the Cadillac. I love semicircle.
The semicircle.
So much stuff. Yeah, because it's just the way it feels and can move. We do the star now. I'll do the star with just run a jambs and things like that.
The star is super advanced.
Which is crazy. Yeah, no, that's big. If you take the 100 and you break down the 100, which is spectacular because it's such a fundamental, iconic exercise, or even the teaser, both those exercises I teach every exercise is an abdominal exercise.
Yes.
What is the abdominal exercise but coming from the center of the body? That's the center of our expression.
Yes.
That's our umbilicus. That's our umbilical cord, which used to be connected to our mother. It's also connected to the universal cosmos, so to speak. So when people say core, and by the way, nobody used to say core until we made Pilates popular in 1993 with the Institute here at the Pilates Method. No one said it. Then when we popularized it, all of a sudden, all the fitness people were like, core. So core doesn't, when people, it makes me crazy because people say, well, the core is the transverse abdominis, it's transverse abdominis, it's the four, abdominals, and then you have the multifidi, and I'm going like, what do you, the core is the essence of the person.
Yes.
That's where it comes from. You can analyze the muscularity. I also teach that every exercise uses every muscle. Show me an exercise that doesn't use, whether it's stable or mobile or whatever.
Yeah, full body movement.
Every exercise uses everything. So for the hundreds, why do people, why do we do pulse the arms, right? And you ask Pilates teachers and they go like, I don't know. That's what I was taught. I was going like, don't you think? What do you think? Where, I'm going to have to hold the phone this, but, to move the arm up and down like this, what's some of the muscles that has to connect if you want to go just physiologically? So you got the delts and stuff like that, but tell me something. Here's my latissimus dorsi, right?
Yes,
it connects down there. Where's the latissimus dorsi? Down at my sacrum, at the bottom of my freaking sacrum, is the latissimus dorsi. So when we pump our arms, I'm stabilizing my core down there, and that's where the movement comes from for the arms. It's not just flapping our arms here. It makes sense. Joe knew this. Joe taught this, and that's what he wanted to do. And if you extend your legs out 100%, 4 or 5 inches off the ground, now you've got this whole core working too. When you're tucked in and your chin's in, you got the breath working like that too. You can either do the sustained breath or the percussive breath. You're now getting to the core of who you are as an individual, and that's what's so incredible. So it's working within that comfort zone so you can express yourself the best possible way you can. So that might be, I don't know, I drifted a little bit, but the hundreds would be that.
Yeah, would be that, getting to the core of yourself and expressing. Awesome. This is so precious interview. Thank you so much, Ray.
Oh, thank you. You're fantastic.
Yeah,
a pleasure.
Thank you. And how can we reach you if our audience is going to Santa Fe, or they want to write you or take classes with you or travel to Asia to meet you? How can they reach you?
Come to Asia, It's easier to go to Santa Fe. I live, it's my, I don't have the thing, but it's Pilates Santa Fe. PilatesSantaFe.com. That's our website, PilatesSantaFe.com. All the information is there. We're open 5 days, 6 days a week. Come email us at info@PilatesSantaFe. info@PilatesSantaFe.com, and what else? And that's it. So PilatesSantaFe.com is the website. Please, any questions you have, I'm more than willing to answer.
Awesome.
It'd be a pleasure.
It will be a pleasure. It is already a pleasure. Thank you so much, Ray. And I hope
You're
this
welcome.
is one of many interviews we have with you.